guys, it's Gretchen and welcome back to my channel. Hard to believe that it is that time of the month again for my monthly Body Mods Q&A. You all submitted a ton of questions for this month. I apologize right off the bat if I don't get to your question. It's either that I've answered it before or that someone else asked the question and I just got to theirs first. So apologies on that. Go back through the rest of my Body Mod Q&As if you're curious about any questions that I've answered previously. Sometimes I might accidentally answer similar questions over and over again, mostly because I just can't keep track of all the questions that I get. But these types of questions are either personally about myself or just about body mods in general. If you would like a question answered for July's Body Mod Q&A, you can leave them in the comments below, or you can follow me on Instagram, and I usually put up a little like question box in my Insta stories, and you can ask that way. But like I said, I did get quite a few questions this month, a lot of really good ones too. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So like always, I will start with the questions that I receive here on YouTube first, and then I'll go into my Instagram questions. Spaced Out asks, what gauge size is the point of no return? I want to stretch my ears to a bigger gauge than I have now, but I don't want to go too big. So there is really no true point of no return, but the one that everyone discusses is a 00 gauge or a 10mm. This does not necessarily mean that if you get to that size and then all of a sudden take it out, that your ears will go back to normal. This is just a common thought that is the point of no return. That's not 100% proven. So that is why I stopped at a 00 gauge, in case I just wanted to go back to normal. There goes a fuzzy. But in case I wanted to go back to normal, at least it would be a little bit easier for it to close up or at least shrink by that point than a larger size. So while the point of no return is not 100% accurate, that is the size people refer to. JD says, what's your opinion on the true navel piercing? Would you consider getting this piercing? Do you know anyone who has this piercing? If so, what is the pain level? Is it more than a normal navel piercing? So a true navel piercing, I actually had to look this up because I had no idea what this person was talking about. A true navel piercing is primarily for outie belly buttons. So whereas an innie belly button, you know, it's just like this little vacant hole there, an outie belly button, the flesh protrudes, and that's the part that gets pierced. I was fascinated by that. I've never heard of this piercing before in my life. It's really cool stuff. Do I know anyone with one? No. So I can't really answer your question about experience, pain, yada yada. But if anyone watching this video has one, please leave your experience in the comments below, because I personally would be curious, and I'm sure a lot of us would be now that we know what it is. Thank you for bringing my attention to this type of piercing, because I had never heard of it before. Oh, and my thoughts on it? You do you. If you want to get that pierced, go ahead and get it pierced. Also, I don't know if people with any belly buttons can get it done. Like, would you pull that flesh forward? That's like in your belly button, because that thought just kind of makes my stomach turn. Tyler Churkop says, I want a snug piercing really bad. The only reason why I haven't gotten one is because I'm concerned about the high rejection rate. What is your opinion on these types of piercings? Do you think it's worth going through with it with all the risks? I love the look of a snug piercing. I personally wouldn't get it done just because I've heard it's really painful and that more often than not it does reject. So because of just statistics, I wouldn't get it done. But I do think they're cute, and if it's something that you are like so in love with, I'd go for it. Now I will say a lot of piercers may not actually do it because of the high rejection rate, so you'd have to find one willing to do it. Kaylee Nicholson says, I had a question regarding my septum piercing. I've had it for 3 months exactly, and it's been healing beautifully. I've ordered a new ring and want to change it, but I'm not sure what the right time is to change it for the first time. The internet has way too many different answers, ranging from 6 to 8 weeks to 6 months to 3 months. I've heard so many conflicting things. Help. I'm a really bad example. I had to change my septum piercing after like 2 or 3 weeks. I had to change it to a retainer because I was having surgery and I couldn't have metal in my nose, so I changed mine way too soon. It ended up being all right, but it was definitely way too soon. You say you've had yours for 3 months, probably 4 months now. So I would say if you haven't had any problems with it, if it's been healing fine, you should be good. Septum piercings heal much faster than your cartilage piercings because you didn't actually get cartilage pierced. You got that sweet spot pierced. So I would say you should be good to go, but it kind of depends on how well things are going. If you think it's good, then go for it. Lexi Slanda says, I'm getting my helix for my birthday. It's my first piercing other than my double lobes. What is the best type of jewelry for it? Your birthday's probably come and gone by this point. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if you've gotten this done yet, but material wise, I'm always for titanium. Jewelry type wise, I am always for labres, especially the push kind where you don't have to turn anything. There's a push pin and it bends to how your ear is or anything like that. Those are my personal favorites. But it all depends on what you personally look for. However, I will strongly recommend against hoops. Holly Short asks, is Himalayan salt safe to use on piercings? From what I've gathered from the internet, which is not always a great resource, but from what I've gathered, no, it is not. You should always use non-iodized sea salt. Just stick with it. It's easier in the long run to just be like, all right, this is the salt that I use. Some sources were saying that it's fine. A lot of professional sources were saying it's not fine, so I would go with those. Teresa McDonald asks, do you think it's usual for a piercing to not like a specific type of jewelry? Example, I took my conch out to clean it and to change the jewelry. The jewelry is titanium, has a ball on the back and stone in front. Within a few hours it got sore and a bump formed, got worse by morning. I put the original jewelry back in, cleaned it with H2O and it stopped hurting within a day and bump was gone in 2 days. I definitely think that some piercings like specific types of jewelry. My example always are hoops. Hoops are definitely cute in a piercing, however, they cause a great deal of problems. Same with the type of jewelry that you changed it to. Instead of having a flat back, it had a ball on the back. That may have caused a bump. I personally do not like balls on the back of my jewelry, despite the fact that my double helix over here, both pieces of jewelry have balls on the back, which would probably explain why they're constantly irritated. I really need to get into my shop to get new pieces. That being said, I do think that piercings like specific types of jewelry and you just kind of have to figure out what those are. Catherine Mangan asks, I don't know if you've been asked this before, but have you thought about working with or becoming a piercer? So I've actually been asked this several times and usually I say, no, I don't think I could ever do that. I don't think I could ever shove a needle through someone's body anywhere. However, I've actually been thinking about it a whole lot more recently. Do I think I'll pursue it? Probably not, but I wouldn't count it out like I used to. Francesca Rockwamore asks, I was wondering how you felt about the vertical labre. Of course, I just started noticing those and I think I like it a lot. I think this is gonna be a year for piercings for me. I wish it would be a year for piercings for me, but quarantine has put a damper on that. So I love vertical labres. I love how they look. Would I personally get one? Probably not, just because I do get lip filler and I don't know how well lip filler and vertical labres work together. I would get like a regular labre that just goes like underneath the lip through that part, but I don't know if I'd actually get something that goes through the lip just because of lip filler. So if anyone out there gets lip filler, has a vertical labre, leave your experience below in the comments because again, I personally am interested. Horse Mad Lily asks, my questions are, I'm hoping to get 2 piercings specifically as well as others after lockdown, but the 2 I'm going to ask a question about are a smiley piercing and a vertical tragus piercing. Do you think those piercings are good ideas? For me, I love the look of a smiley. However, because it is right against your teeth, it's not good for your gums, it's not good for your enamel. It depends on the type of jewelry you use, and it's such a thin piece of flesh there that I'd say after a year probably most people take it out. Not entirely, but I feel like that's kind of its course of action. It's not meant to be a long-term piercing, it's definitely more of a temporary one. Moving on to the vertical tragus piercing, which if you don't know, I will insert a picture here of what it looks like. That is a surface piercing, so it does have a higher chance of rejecting. I personally would not get one, but if you are interested in getting one yourself, definitely find a piercer who is reputable, who has maybe done one before. Don't go to just someone willy-nilly because surface piercings are a lot more difficult to handle and manage than regular ones, which is saying a lot because regular ones can also be a lot to handle and manage. But there's a lot more that you need to take into consideration when getting something like that. So it does have a higher rejection rate, something to keep in mind. It may cause scarring, but if you are interested in either one of them, go for it. Moving on to the Instagram questions now. Aleglar asks, do you plan on getting your belly button re-pierced anytime soon, and any tips on healing? So I've gone back and forth a lot with getting my belly button re-pierced. And honestly, I think I'm getting further away from it, from wanting it done. I used to want it done really bad. I used to say, this is gonna be the year I get it done, blah, blah, blah. I think I'm getting away from that point now. I don't know what it is, but suddenly I just don't have an interest in getting it redone. As for healing, heal it like you would any other person. But because I had a bad experience with one, I personally can't offer too much specifically regarding them. Trevor Williams Photography asks, why hasn't my labret piercing completely closed after 11 years of taking it out? First of all, hi Trevor. Trevor is a friend of mine. And second of all, there are several reasons why it may not have completely closed up. So because of the fleshiness of a labret piercing, I'm assuming you mean this one, correct? Right? Yes, you don't mean cartilage. Cartilage piercings will close up over time. Fleshier piercings may not completely close up. They may shrink, but you'll still notice like a little divot where the piercing was, but the actual hole itself may not close up, especially if you had the piercing for over a year and it had completely healed and was fine. Take for example, my lobe piercings. I had gotten my second and my third lobes done, took them out after they had healed some, and didn't put anything in them for probably 6 years. And then I finally put stuff back in them. Yeah, it was a little bit of a pinch to get the jewelry through, but they were still basically intact. They just had gotten smaller, took a little bit force to get the jewelry through. So that could be the reason why, because it is a fleshier area. You'll notice that the hole is smaller. You could still put something in it. Manic Pixie Dream Ears asks, is there a good season to get a tattoo? Summer versus winter? It honestly depends on your lifestyle. If you're like me, who doesn't go out in the sun or go to the beach often, summer is a great time because you don't have to wear so many clothes, but you're not going out and about. Winter is also a good time because you can wear loose baggy clothing and it works for you. You can wear layers to cover and protect a new tattoo. So it honestly depends on your lifestyle. Senior Kitty Cat asks, how do you keep a piercing clean at the beach? Will the salt water affect it? I have an entire video all about that right over there. Rin1601 asks, do you have experience with no pull discs? So I actually had to look this up because I've gotten this question before and I just never knew what people were referring to. So I finally decided to look it up. Basically, there's this company that has created these little silicone discs that you put on either side of a new or sensitive piercing. You put it on whatever jewelry you've bought. There are these tiny little discs and it's supposed to keep bumps from forming and infections from happening. I don't have any experience with it, but it sounds like a pretty interesting concept. So if you're interested in that, go look it up. They have an Instagram, they have a website. It looks a little weird, but I guess if you're trying to heal a piercing, it's pretty good for that. Lumpy Space Princess asks, have you got a different experience healing process pain with your 2 tragus piercings? I do have both of my tragus done. This is my older one. This is my newer one. I will be doing an entire video dedicated to that, but I will say, just long story short, yes, both have had completely different healing experiences. But again, I will do a dedicated video to that in the future. Amy Mulkey asks, do you ever plan to stretch your septum? I thought about it and I think the highest I would go to is like a 12 gauge. I probably won't. I like how it looks. I like the smallness of a 16 gauge. You know, if you want to stretch yours, that's totally awesome. But I think if I did stretch it, 12 would be the highest I would go. But I don't think I will. Mon Janet 96 asks, I've heard mixed reviews on Duff piercings. What are your thoughts on it and is it safe to get one? I personally love mine. Yes, it was a B to heal, but I absolutely love it now that it's fine and healed and everything like that. I think it's safe. I mean, I've got mine done, but other people may have different experiences. If you want to get it done, go for it. But yeah, it's one of my favorites, but it still terrifies me to change it. skitten84 says, finally took the CRB out of my Duff and changed it. Was scared to do it though. Do you still worry about changing yours by yourself? Absolutely, and I refuse to. Ever since that one time where I took it out and it started to close up and I basically had to re-pierce it, video over here, I have been terrified to change it, and there's a reason why. I've had the same jewelry in it for like 2 years now. I don't know if it's been quite 2 years, but it's been a hot minute and I refuse to change it myself. I really need to get a new piece in there because I just want to change it up. But yeah, I'm terrified to still change it myself. Matt Longdo asks, are stone plugs heavy to wear in your ears? I feel like this depends on the size of your stretched ears. For me, at 00 gauge, no, they're not heavy at all. But I feel like the larger the size, the heavier the plugs. So it really depends on the size. And the last question is from Kyla Sojot. What should you wear when getting a large hip side tattoo? So again, I have an entire video on what to wear for a tattoo appointment. But for that, I would wear one of two things. If it's your hip area, I would definitely wear a bathing suit bottom so that you can pull it up a little bit easier. I would also wear very loose shorts, so maybe like linen shorts that you might find at Target or Old Navy or something like that. I would not wear jeans of any kind or jean shorts of any kind. Definitely a much looser fabric, and maybe after that, like once you've gotten home or anything like that, sweatpants. So that is it for this month's Body Mods Q&A. There were a ton of questions. Thank you to everyone who submitted a question. There were some really good ones this month. Again, if you asked a question and I didn't answer it on camera, it's because I've either answered it before or someone else asked the same question and I just got to theirs first. If you'd like a question answered for July's Body Mods Q&A, leave them in the comments below, or again, find me on Instagram, and closer to the time of filming, I'll put up a question box for you to submit questions to. If you have any answers of your own to any of these questions, you can go ahead and leave them in the comments as well. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big ol' thumbs up. Go on down there and hit that subscribe button wherever it may be, because I don't know, even though I do. This is just my shtick now. Also hit that notification bell in case you want to know when I upload, and in case YouTube wants to let you know when I upload, because I would really appreciate it. And until next time, bye guys.